Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are finally going to finish with Act 1, Scene 1 of Sejanus, His Fall today. We're going to get to hear from Silius. Now you remember Silius and Sabinus and Aruntius and Cordua, that whole crew, don't like the current government. They miss Germanicus. Germanicus was the greatest man who ever lived, but in yesterday's monologue they talked about how he was so good that other people that had political power felt the need to knock him down a few pegs, so he was poisoned, died, and that's what happened to Germanicus. But then they observed this little exchange where Satrius was talking to Sejanus, saying that this physician named Eudemus, who's the physician to Livia, who's Drusus' wife, who's the emperor's son, saying that Eudemus wants to buy a tribune's place, or like buy an audience with Sejanus for 50 of the local currency, which in current dollars is about $3,000. And Sejanus is like, well, yeah, okay, if he's a learned man, yeah, bring him to me. I'll talk to him about some grief that I have. And then they all leave. So Aruntius and the crew that's been observing this, Aruntius is like, do people have no shame anymore? Like, here's another person about to buy himself into a position of power. And Silius says, nothing so. Sejanus can repair if Jove should ruin. He is now the court of God, and well applied, with sacrifice of knees, of crooks and cringes. He will do more than all the house of heaven can for 1,000 hecatombs. 'Tis he makes our day or night. Hell and Elysium are in his look. We talk of Radamanth, furies, and firebrands, but it is his frown that is all these, where, on the adverse part, his smile is more than e'er yet poets feigned of bliss and shades, nectar, and it gets cut off. So what he's saying is Sejanus has way too much power at this point. Sejanus, so many people are bowing and scraping and bending the knee to him that he's like more powerful than the gods at this point. He's like, Sejanus could do more than any of the gods would do if we sacrificed 1,000 oxen to them. He's like, he is night and day. We talk about the gods, running the seasons and turning the things and all of that, but really it's Sejanus. Everything comes down to Sejanus. What he wants. When he's happy, everybody's happy. When he's sad, everybody's sad. When he's angry, you better look out. But he gets interrupted by Aruntius saying that he knew Sejanus back when Sejanus was like a serving boy. So the whole group starts talking about Sejanus' rise to power and some of the things that he did to get there, which weren't necessarily so great. Like, there were all these various factions of people that he gathered up and like put into a camp together, saying that they were unruly by themselves, and if anybody tried to break out of this, then watch out, because you're all kind of in trouble. So almost like concentration camp type things he was rounding people up and putting them in. So they're talking about these things that he's done to get to power, and Sabina says that Sejanus really doesn't have like a moral compass. He doesn't care what happens as long as it feeds into his ambitions. And at the word ambition, Aruntius is like, he's ambitious, but like, where else can he go besides his current position? And Silius is like, only the emperor. So the only person like above Sejanus is the emperor Tiberius. And they're all kind of like, please, please, please let Tiberius stay in power a little longer. He's not that great, but we would prefer him to Sejanus. And then they start thinking, okay, but if Sejanus really is that ambitious, that he wants to become emperor, he's got to get rid of Tiberius. But then Tiberius' son Drusus is next in line, so he'd have to kill him too. And then if he killed him, then Germanicus' 3 kids are next in line. And isn't that way too many people for him to want to kill just so that he can become emperor? And Aruntius is like, if I even thought that Sejanus was considering killing these 5 people to become the emperor, I would take my sword and I would strike him dead in the street right now. At which point Sabinus points out that Nata and that whole crew, people who are in Sejanus' pocket, they have all been watching this. So Aruntius turns to them and he gives them a sort of like an ancient Roman, oh, you want a piece of me? You want to go? Kind of thing. And Sabinus sort of settles Aruntius down with the very ancient Roman, like, chill, man. He actually just says, forbear. And that's the end of the scene. So we've got hints of Sejanus' ambition, where he might want to be going. We have the two different factions in the government. We've got the corrupt people and the not as corrupt, or hopefully uncorrupted people who disapprove of the corrupt side of the government. And then we've also got Sejanus is going to be talking to this physician of the emperor's son's wife, who has something to say to the people in power. So we got to figure out what's going on with that whole plot line too. But fortunately, that's just the end of Act 1, Scene 1. So there's still a whole bunch of this play left to go, wherein we can figure all that stuff out. So come on back tomorrow for more. Mwah.